Welcome back. This video is just going to run over where we expect candles to close if we are taking entries, because it is important to know, and these are simple rules that you should always apply to all entries that we take with the strategy. So let's just imagine we have a bearish setup and we're looking to take an entry on the 15-minute structural level at this point. If I'm going to get a pin bar or an engulfing on this level and enter, the candle must touch the level, or the entry structure, I should say, the candle pattern must touch the level and then close below. That means if we've got an engulfing candle, the engulfing needs to close below the level. If we have a pin candle, it needs to close below the level. We cannot have candles, for example, an engulfing, where we have the first candle and then the second candle engulfing, but closing above. If it's a trade taken from this level, it needs to close below if it's touching it. If we're trading that level, it has to close below it. So for example, with this is fairly common. You'll see an engulfing, then wicket, the close above. It might be touching it, but it did not close below it. Therefore, that is not a valid entry for us. So make sure if you're trading the 15-minute line that if you're going for sells, the candle closes below. And if you're going for buys, then the candle closes above. That is key with the 15-minute line level. Now let's assume we're trading from a deep test zone. It's the same rule for whether or not it's stark structural push or not, so we'll just go with that. With the deep test zone, price does not need to close below it. It can close within it or below it, as long as it's touching it, of course. If the entry structure is touching that zone, it needs to close within or below. It cannot be closing above, even if it's touching it. If it wicks similarly to before, closes above, it's not valid. If we're trading the zone, it needs to close within it or below it, if that's what we're doing. And vice versa, if we're going for buys, it needs to close within it or above it. Same idea essentially as when we're trading the level. Just because the zone is a bit bigger though, we can have candles close within. So it's just a quick rule just to run over, just to make sure it's all super clear. Thanks for listening.